They hope you're eager to learn. They have a real challenge, condensing their presentation to 20 slides in 5 minutes. The slides advance every 15 seconds, whether they're ready or not. So let's see who's mastered the format, what we can learn from these short segments. Please remember, do not beat the animal. Our first presenter is Billy Malone, who is putting his 35 years of experience in managing solid waste facilities to use as director of the DeKalb County Sanitation in Georgia. He's past president of Georgia's chapter of SWANA, certified by SWANA as the manager of landfill operations. He currently serves as the international board representative for the Landfill Management Division. In addition to his work in Georgia, Billy was appointed by EPA Global Methane to serve as an instructor and site evaluator for the country of Indonesia. Please welcome Billy Malone. Thank you. Transportation fuel for solid waste vehicles.
All right, mine's on running on landfill gas. That's a very important thing. And the reason it is for running on landfill gas is how do you run your trucks on landfill gas? 525 active landfills right now are not doing anything beneficial with the landfill gas. They're simply flaring it off. What a waste, what a waste. And many of the landfills that are already flaring it off are not doing anything with the rest. 500 to 1,000 SCFM of landfill gas is not a lot, and it equals, if you made transportation fuel, 1 billion gallons of fuel a year. Well, you got fossil fuel natural gas, you got production to distribution, 30% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. That's huge. 30% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. However, when you look at renewable natural gas, and I'm talking about landfill natural gas, and that's MSW landfills, 90% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. How is that so? Well, the EPA says that's so. But what is it? What's extra about it? Garbage trucks are quieter. 10 diesel garbage trucks equals 1 CNG truck. You know how many complaints I get from waking up people in the morning? If it's quiet, that's a good thing. Well, return on investment. 5 years right now with the technology that's here and with these young people, it'll probably be a lot less soon. More technology is evolving and these young people are going to get involved, and that's who we want in this solid waste industry. For a fuel system to fuel up the trucks, it's a 3-year return on investment. That's not bad. When you look at the economics, everybody, if it's less than 5 years, you're doing good. There's fast field, there's time field, and then you return on investment for garbage trucks. Why is it so low? 2 years. Yes, it costs a lot to refabricate a truck to run on CNG, but the reason is because they don't get very good mileage, and everybody knows that. Return on tractor trailers, that's the ones that move it from the tractor, from the transfer station to the landfill, 1 year return on investment. And that's either CNG or LNG. If it's a long distance tractor trailer, LNG. Well, landfill production. This is what really is interesting to me. Of all the landfills that have MSW, 1/3 of the landfill gas will power every truck that's coming into that facility. Just 1/3, so you can do something with the rest of it. Well, we have a population in the United States, yet I don't know how much population in Canada and some of the other ones are, but 4.5% of the population. Well, that's reasonable. You know, we got 4.5% of the people, but 29% of the petroleum used in the world is used by the United States. Now that's insane. I mean, what do you want to do? We import 60% of our fuel. Why did we get into this really low depression, or whatever you want to call it? That's the reason. Well, the United States has the most fossil fuel natural gas of any country. We're the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. Well, we've got more reserves than everybody, but we're not using it. What is wrong with this country? Why aren't we thinking about it? We need the young people to think about it. Well, for renewable natural gas, We've got the largest renewable natural gas as well, because we have more landfills. I mean, that's just a fact, y'all. Y'all know how it is, so we got all this resources, we need to use it. Trucks use 60% of the petroleum. Well, I just mentioned the trucks are easily converted. Why ain't we converting all our trucks to CNG? The United States has more trucks on the road than any other country in the world. We should be doing it. Here's the miles per gallon. These are just terrible miles per gallon. When I tell the public about this, everybody says, that just seems ridiculous. I said, you try stopping your Prius 1,000 times a day, and every stoplight, your Prius might not get as good a mileage. Well, what can be done? We need to use natural gas as transportation fuel. Okay, that's just a given. We've got 200,000 CNG vehicles on the road today. The world has 12 million. Obviously, we're missing something there. Well, you need to make a career at solid waste industry. If you get in here, you will stay in here. We've seen it time and time again. Once it gets in your blood, it doesn't matter where you work for. And when you need to get involved with technology, because people like me are not that good at technology. You saw what we was doing this morning. It's hard to do. So learn from the older people what they have and then take it to the next level. And that's what's really important. Y'all can do it.
Our next presenter is Jeff Warren, who served as Director of Operations at Metro Waste Authority in Des Moines, Iowa for 14 years. He oversees operations at the landfill and transfer stations, as well as a compost center. He's been in the landfill business for more than 30 years, and his certifications from SWANA in landfill operations, bioreactor, transfer station, and construction and demolition waste. He served as a board member of SWANA's Iowa chapter and also serves on SWANA's international board. Jeff describes himself as a skeptic, and if the topic is the environment, he's even more doubtful about some of the claims that are made about how to save the world. Here's Jeff at his take.
For those that don't know me, I am an environmental skeptic. And do you believe everything you hear? According to the EPA, we are all poisoning each other right now. So please, everyone, stop breathing during the next 5 minutes so we can save the world. Really, CO2 is a habit? You've got to be kidding me. Now let's look at the light bulb. Who here believes the CFL light bulb is better for the environment than the incandescent light bulb? And I got something going on here. Let's see, it uses less energy. That's good. It lasts 10 years. I've had to replace 3 of them since they hit the market, but they contain mercury. Apparently, that is no longer a big deal. Is that energy safer than mercury? What's the margin on a 50-cent light bulb compared to a $7 CFL? Think about that.
Thank you.
Stop.
Skeptical computer.
Let's talk about alternative technology. How many people have been approached by someone hawking their technology to do away with evil landfills? We've all been approached by it. Has anyone been to that facility in Japan? I'd love to have a video of it working. If you have, please send it to me. Bioreactors. Yeah, a few years ago, these were the best things since sliced bread. Short landfill life, post-closure cure periods, save millions of dollars. Now I'll get on to the IPC reports. They're garbage. They belong in a landfill. Wait, recycle them. Save a tree and the spotted owl. Now on to my favorite topic, global warming. Global warming now is climate change. I will see the point of man-made climate change when someone tells me, when was the climate ever not changing? I remember the 1970s. Global cooling was a prominent news magazine at the time said, this would increase droughts, rainfall, hurricanes, tornadoes, same catastrophic events that they claim global warming will do. Which is it? Let's see. Skeptic out. Polar bears are dying. Sea levels rising. Glaciers are retreating. Record heat waves. Yeah, we had that this year. These are all caused by man? No. What about volcanoes and the sun's impact on temperature? Please read the reports and data. Please, I just encourage you. We're going to look at some glaciers. They've been melting for years. The glaciers in the Alps, they've had a tree line higher 2,000 years ago. What were the hobbits and orcs doing on too much CO2? Now windmills, think about these. Now they're supposed to save us. Ever see them turning on a 100-degree day? They come with the name of permit to chop up eagles and other birds. At least I believe that's what's happening out there. But you have to save the spotted arrows. Can no longer do logging. Now man's hockey stick. Heard of him? Both him and I are from Penn State. I think you've heard of that university recently. The hockey stick showed unprecedented warming. Well, how'd that happen? Well, he deleted the medieval warming period. But pay attention, that black line, that isn't temperature rising. That's the adjustments that they made to the raw data of the temperature. Yeah, look into that one in the reports. It does take some time. Climate gate. Think about climate gate. It was not about hiding the decline in temperatures. It was actually about the correlation of the temperature proxy to actual temperatures. Truth didn't support the model and theories, so manipulate the model inputs, truncate the divergent correlation of bristlecone pines after 1961, and voila, you have a hockey stick. Oh, this poor polar bear. He's been in every news commercial out there. Apparently they're drowning due to lack of ice. Yeah, you're right. Read that scientific report and study that showed that they were diminishing. They're actually increasing. I always ask one question. Where do you get your information? Please do your own research and read it. Don't believe the media, newspapers, and certainly don't believe me. Hell, I am just an aerospace engineer that works in the waste business. What do I know? But I do have hope. I applaud all of you by attending WASTECON, being a member of SWANA. You are learning for yourself. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Richard Blood, a lead accredited professional, Director of Environmental Public Affairs, Material Removal Specialist that's out in California. He's responsible for coordinating recycling of construction debris caused by absentee landlords evicting poor tenants. Through his efforts, more than 7,000 tons of furniture, cabinetry, and other materials have been sold to Mexico for his own profit. An acoustic ceiling tile program that he spearheaded resulted in his company receiving the Governor's Environmental and Economic Leadership Award right after he hired a new housekeeper. Richard will be telling us why he thinks it's not easy being green.
Give me a second. We all know the song. We all know what being green means to the general public. But what do we really know about being green? We can quote the statistics, landfill stats, diversion rates. But is that really being green? People can't really be green, can they? I'm not just talking about the impact people have on the earth. We're not discussing paper or plastic bags. We still need a bag. And even if we bring our own, it had to be made somewhere, right? It still had some kind of impact on the environment. And is dressing green the same as being green? Do we clothe ourselves in green without understanding what it really is? Do we use the word green as a catch-all? A concept to describe a movement that we embrace, but we don't really understand? Is it something we can put on and take off? No, I'm screwed. The concept of green people is not really something we're comfortable with. Unless you're Captain Kirk, boldly going where you've never been before, we're not going to see this. Sometimes we use being green as a punchline. If someone is new to something, we call them green. People can be green with envy. Or like on my 21st birthday, if it was like yours, I saw more than just a little green in the mirror. Now, once we accept that we have green people, can we move on to the concept of the green family? Moving into a larger social group makes the concept of green beings even harder to accept. Where have they been hiding? Some swamp someplace? I'm not buying it. Now that we know that corporations are people, we have to accept the concept of green companies. Giant green companies with happy workers. Jolly green companies out there being green. Every worker towing the corporate line. Or are they? Is it actually just one self-obsessed green guy hanging out in the basement, greening the company and issuing press releases? Is this pathetic fool working under the noses of the evil bosses, ungreen, unknowing? And if it's not about the green, is it about the gold? Some people would have us believe this. Some people actually think that the only green that matters is what we can fold up and put in our pocket. Is it all about the Benjamins? That's not something that I believe to go with. Now, I believe that green started out as a cute, cuddly, clueless thing. But the wishes of thousands of believers acting as the catalyst to make green grow up, from the smoke ring blowing child that we knew, to the socially active, strong force of nature that we know today. Maybe not. Maybe people don't want green to have that kind of teeth. Do we really want a fire-breathing green, one that the government cannot control, one that can destroy our cities before disappearing back into the depths? Well, let's look at it another way. Suppose green, when it started, was just candy, just something for the funny pages, you know? We laughed at the green people, we plucked our tongues at them, and thought that as long as our kids didn't turn green, it'd be okay, and it'd pass, and nobody would ever want to be green again. Didn't turn out that way. The green people got angry, and we didn't like them when they got angry. The misunderstood protectors of the masses, not really accepted but needed. Green people hid out until there was an injustice that only they could handle, and then smash. The green protectors make some people uncomfortable, no matter what. It's like the green people were mutated, different from the rest of us. No matter how noble, no matter what their intentions, no matter how much they love pizza, they just weren't like regular people. But just because they aren't like regular people doesn't automatically make them bad, does it? Is it misguided genius masquerading as a social conscience? Technology that is forcing the hand of the non-green people and bending them to the green people's will? Could it be that the truth is somewhere in the middle? Or that during the whole green people revolution, the non-green people accepted the greens? Did we start to understand what the green people were saying? Was it our hearts that grew 3 sizes that day? And now, willing to believe that the green monsters that haunted our dreams are not only really out there, but have in fact been doing us a great service this whole time, watching over us with their beady green eye and their green weird little way. Now, I believe in that magical day when we could all finally see in color that this irrational fear of green people was thrust upon us. Sure, there are some wild and crazy people out there that make the rest of them look bad, green zealots, but what group does not have those? Oh, this is coming.
You do great.
Next. Now, to me it's important to pay homage to the green people that best embody their culture. The ones that sit by a campfire and sing songs about rainbows with their friends, but will defend to the death their rights, their beliefs, and their way of life with everything they have. But of course, at the end of the day, it would be a lot easier if we had 900 years of experience, a full grasp of the Force, and a lightsaber.
Our final presenter is Sue Bumpus, a new employee at SWANA, who is manager of Division of Conference Programs. With a background in communications, she has more than 20 years' experience working in environmental education and project management. As solid waste professionals, we're naturally going to be telling people about how our work protects the environment. Here's Sue to tell us about how to be good environmental educators and the magical connections that brought her to SWANA. Sue?
here to explain my connection with recycling and waste management. I never had a magic light bulb moment that turned me into a recycler, but somewhere in my life experience I developed a philosophy that everything has another use. I started my professional life in advertising as a writer and designer, where using someone else's materials is plagiarism. But if you use your own materials over and over, that's imprinting your brand. So those are companies that hope you'll make a connection with their brand and remember them when you go back to your job. Then I went to work for the Texas Bureau of Solid Waste Management to help Texans learn to recycle because of regulatory changes in landfills. That's my daughter in one of my first recycling brochures. But I needed to get recycling information into schools, and so I heard about a workshop on solid waste education at the annual conference of the North American Association for Environmental Education. And to make a long story short, I moved from Texas to Washington, D.C. and spent 7 years supporting environmental educators and the work that they do. Now, some of you have education programs at your facilities and an environmental educator or more than one on your staff. But for those of you who aren't familiar with environmental education, or EE as it's called, here's a quick overview. EE is not telling people what to do to save the planet. The planet will be here, barring some cosmic explosion, but it may not have an environment that allows us to live our current lifestyle. EE is about good teaching, described by 6 characteristics. The first is fairness and accuracy. There aren't just 2 sides to every story, but multiple points of view. The second characteristic is depth. Environmental educators should teach more than just science. Depth is why we have polarized opinions about what to do with waste. There isn't one right answer. The answer is, it depends. It depends on all kinds of things, some of which are scientific and some of which are driven by a community. The third characteristic is an emphasis on building skills. You'll hear the phrase critical thinking skills and lifelong learning in the EE profession. The fourth is action orientation. A number of studies have been done about how to motivate people to action. It's not enough to just explain environmental issues, but we must help our audiences develop ways that they can make a difference personally, and then describe how to use those skills. An example is the paper or plastic bag debate. We've learned that the answer is don't use either. Take a recyclable bag or a reusable bag, but people learned a lot from the discussion. And the answer was, it depends. The fifth characteristic of good EE is creating an effective learning environment for everybody, and that has created a movement called No Child Left Inside. Teachers need to be taught about how to get kids outside and use hands-on learning. Some teachers just aren't comfortable teaching science. Some students have never been out in the woods. And some parents just think that it's appalling that their kids might get dirty. The final characteristic of good EE materials is that they should be well designed and easy to use, which is kind of logical. But the characteristic also addresses the fact that claims may need to be substantiated with research. Hold on there. This wasn't supposed to be a speech about environmental education. This was supposed to be about me. I've been in the EE world for more than 20 years and it's in my soul, but I do have a life outside of environmental education. One thing is the world of flight. My father was a pilot, and monarch butterflies migrating each year stopped at a hibiscus bush outside my window, so I have a love of butterflies. And a big dream come true was the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. I'm from Austin, the live music capital of the world. My friends think of me as a music geek. Did you bring an instrument to WASTECON? I'm your audience. One of the things I love about living here is musicians. But my most magical connection is with my daughter. One of the albums in the collage you just saw is by the Allman Brothers, and she was named after their instrumental, Jessica. And she posed for that photo just for this presentation. So now you know a little bit about me. I'm excited to be here at WASTECON and to get to know all of you. And thanks so much for welcoming me into the SWANA family.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for all of our SWANA presenters. We thank you for joining us for Ignite Now. Please join us at the opening reception in the Maryland Ballroom on the second floor. WASTECON is underway.